Wondering if resistance training is for you now that you're middle or older age? Welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Brad Weenie.
I'm Dr. Paul Zalzo.
We brought a guest, Dr. Stuart Phillips from McMaster University. He's going to tell us all about resistance training and why it maybe is the key to unlocking your health. Welcome, Stu.
And you've been
Pleasure
studying
to be here. Yep.
You've been studying this stuff for what, like 30 years now?
Just over 30 years.
Okay, so if you thought you knew everything about exercise, you're wrong. This guy does, all right?
I'm not sure about that.
Get your pen, take some, just go along with it.
Sure.
It's for views.
Fair enough.
Make notes.
Yep.
Interesting little note. Stu got interested into like kind of post-grad work and stuff like that because his rugby career was kind of halted short because you broke your leg. I read a video that you couldn't play rugby in your last year.
Yep.
And you're like, well, what the heck am I going to do?
Yep.
You must have seen your leg dwindle.
It did.
Right?
It
And you must have been
disappeared.
shocked, right, compared to the other side. And you said, hey,
Yep.
something's going on here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, no, watershed moment for me. I was kind of devastated at the time.
Of course.
I thought, oh, my life is over, this sort of thing, and couldn't play. Didn't enjoy going to practice and seeing all my buddies have a great time. So took a thesis, got in the lab, and sort of, I was like, this is amazing, long story short, here I am 30 years later. If that probably hadn't happened, I might be doing what you guys are doing. I don't know.
Right, yes, absolutely. I love
You
it.
see your friends from the rugby team are looking at you now going, hey, isn't that skinny leg?
Yeah.
What's he doing on my phone now? I used to play rugby with him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we preach all the time. More than ever, we've learned that lifting some weights is really critical for our health. Not just walking is important. We did a video. We showed 7,500 steps are probably that watershed for getting something done. But unfortunately, it's probably not enough as we get older. So why is resistance training so strong?
7,500 to 10,000.
Yeah, I said 7,500.
Yeah.
Oh, I said 75 to 100.
Oh yeah, no.
That's not a lot of steps.
No.
75 to 100.
No, that would not be enough.
That'd be your patient going to
That's
that.
right. So why is it so important?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you touched on steps. You probably at some point talked about VO2 max, and it's not that those things are unimportant, but at some point, all the research that we've done and others, and the message from observational trials is that older people are going to be limited in something that they're going to do by strength. The ultimate is getting up and out of a chair, but transferring from, getting in and out of a car. And even on my way in this morning, there's some people that clearly the mobility is limited. They've got walkers, canes, and everything else.
They're going to Brad's clinic.
They might go to the OR today.
Exactly. And so some of these folks are, they're struggling to just do, basic activities of daily living. And when we look at those activities, they're not limited by VO2 peak or anything, but they are limited by strength and power. So the resistance training earlier on, I think it's the compound interest investment, right? You do it earlier, you get that strength up, you get that muscle up, and it pays dividends later on.
Okay.
So really, at the bare minimum, it's just so you can do your activities of daily life, is to have some muscle. Because if you don't have them, there's a lot of things you won't be able to do, and then it's a vicious cycle, right?
Yeah.
As you said, you just get worse and worse and worse.
We talk a lot about bone density, kind of particularly for women. You got to push hard to 30, and then kind of what you have, you're just trying to keep. Would you say there's a similar analogy in muscle?
It's actually a perfect analogy, and I didn't used to think it was like that, but I think that the concept is a little bit different. But for women, as you said, you're trying to get your peak bone density at 30, and then menopause happens, and it's like just hanging on to what you got. So what we do know is that the higher you start that menopausal transition, the better you do. It's not quite the watershed moment, but everybody, and men and women, probably begin to lose muscle. And I know this is going to upset a lot of people, but it's the truth, is somewhere in their 30s to 40s.
Rearview mirror for all of us.
It really, me too. It really does start slowly, and in earnest, you probably don't appreciate it until somewhere in maybe in your 50s, that you're like, well, there's some things I can't do. I find that challenging. But if we measure people's muscle mass on a population level, we can begin to see that downward trajectory in 30s and 40s. So, it's not a big drop like it is in women with bone, but it's exactly the same thing. So we're aiming, instead of aging like this with our muscle mass and strength, to sort of just flatten the curve. Now, it's going to go down, right? Age is going to get you, but this versus this, the curves diverge, and if they cross some type of threshold where you can't do something, the difference is, if you put the work in early, it could be a decade or more,
Right.
right? And that's huge.
And how's that work on the time machine? Are you coming up with an
Yeah,
affordable one
yeah.
that people can use in home? Just to go back and
Reverse.
and build up before we start losing? 'Cause it really is depressing.
Yeah.
So your first message is do as much as early as you can.
Yep.
Okay, so your second message, let's talk about when are you too old to start? And I think I know the answer.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, never,
right?
never.
Never.
I mean, we've got data from nonagenarians, right? So people in their 90s who, and again, a lot of these people are confined to a chair, using a walker, this sort of thing. And even some basic, get up out of the chair, use some resistance bands, some elastic bands. These people are able to gain strength and even a little bit of muscle. So
You have an interesting group that you follow, right?
Yeah.
Is it Pace?
yeah,
Yeah.
So
So drop a name.
Yeah. For almost 10 years, I was the director of what's called PACE, the Physical Activity Center of Excellence. It's located at McMaster University, Department of Kinesiology. And it's 500 community members.
And
who
some
come
older
in.
people,
Yeah,
like.
a lot of older people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had people in their 90s.
Amazing.
One guy pushed when he basically passed away, 104.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, and even up until when he turned 100, we gave him a free membership, and for 4 years he'd be like, I'm still getting,
That's right. I'm going to squeeze you.
Yeah. So I mean, again, it's all relative, but the ability to see someone, like I said to this guy, his name was John, like, you're my aging hero. That's how we'd all like to be at the end,
It's
right?
gonna be Brad.
Maybe.
Amazing.
He's gonna bury me with my dumbbells.
Yeah.
I think, and we talked so much about health span versus lifespan, right?
Yeah.
No one just wants a number.
Yeah.
If you're being pushed
Yeah.
around in a chair for the last 20 years, you want to be as good as you can and then hopefully a precipitous fall off.
Yeah,
But, it's very
and that's a
short
social
window.
media obsession with longevity,
Of course,
right?
yes. I think
So-
it's a good goal, but yes.
And
they're
it
selling
is. It's laudable, and I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has. I could be wrong, but and I'm not there yet. So being 120 and feeling like you're 120, right? I mean,
Right.
as romantic as the notion sounds, but I think we'd all like to be cognitively intact, mobility intact,
Yeah.
until probably as long as we can, right?
Yeah.
So that's health span, not lifespan.
Yeah,
Right.
we've touched on that. I think we've actually reviewed some papers that came out of PACE on this channel, some of the work that you
Yeah.
guys have done there, which is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
And so you have a cake analogy that
Yeah.
I heard. Can you share that with us? Just it's sort of
Sure.
where you instead of the ingredients, flour, sugar, we've got
Yeah.
lifestyle stuff.
Yeah, and I think resistance training is one of these things where you go down social media, and again, not to stereotype, but there are a lot of guys who obviously they're buff, and a lot of them don't wear shirts. They're well tanned.
They're
They've
just
all-
doing Tai Chi. aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my
Have you
feet.
seen that?
My
That's
feet is ruined.
That is, that guy is doing a true disservice to men in their 50s.
Wow.
And he's like, just do Tai Chi like me. I'm like, dude, you got some other stuff going on. Yeah. So if you're lifting and you want to keep muscle and maybe you want to look good, and I have no issue with that. The lifting is baking the cake.
Okay.
It literally is. That's the thing that's doing the most for your muscle and everything, and your bone and everything else like
absolutely.
that. Now, all the things that you hear, creatine, protein, and I'm a protein guy. 30 years studying protein. That's the icing on the cake, right? And the creatine is the sprinkles on the icing. And who doesn't like a bit of icing and a bit of sprinkles? Sure. But that, I got my supplements. I'm like, you going to the gym? Yeah, I make it like a couple of times. I'm like, well, that's doing the work, right? That's,
Right.
To pardon the pun, that's the heavy lifting.
Right.
And, everything else that, you're told on social media is going to unlock or you're missing out is really, again, it's in the margins. So, I know it's boring and everybody goes, what's the best exercise? I'm like, what can you do?
The one you'll do. We always say that. What's your best exercise?
And people say, oh, I like to, I'm like, that's the best exercise.
Okay. I like
what can you do more consistently? Oh, I like this. I'm like, awesome.
That's the best.
I hike with my friends. I'm like, amazing.
Okay, and now let's talk just for a second about frequency. Like, how many times in a week should I be doing? I mean, every day, something, once a week's good enough. What's your sort of recommendations around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a broad stroke sense, we've got a lot of the physical activity guidelines on the aerobic side, 150 minutes a week. I don't think there's much contesting that. And, a big dual cohort analysis just came out in the British Medical Journal showing how good walking, hiking, running, jogging, etc., swimming, were for people. And I think, the risk drops and then it obviously plateaus at a certain point. Resistance training, I'm pretty sure, even though we don't have as much data, 2 days a week is a good sweet spot. If you can, it's not that if you can make it once, that's bad, because again, the steepest drop is when you take someone from 0 to 1. Right. So if you can only manage one workout a week, and it doesn't have to be drop dead, heavy weights, going to the gym and grunting, chalk dust. Yeah. It can be body weight work. It can be bands. And if you're doing that once a week, you're on the steep part of the risk reduction curve for sure.
I think that's a big thing for people to understand, because what might be stopping you from going to the gym is thinking, I can't commit to going 6 days a week. I can't commit to going 7 days a week. Once a week is a great starting point. Amazing. And if you stay at once a week instead of doing nothing per week, that's probably where you're going to get the most gains compared to someone who's going 4 times a week and now they're going to go 5 times every other week. Yeah. So really, don't let that stop you if you think, I can't commit to going every day. Once a week, twice a week is good enough to get serious gains in your health, which I think is important for people to understand.
Yeah, and I think it's a lost message, right? It's everybody's about optimization, and that's what you hear on social media, when actually from a health standpoint and from basic function and everything else, it's that steep part of the curve happens when you get once a week, or you get 3 or 4 times a week you go for a walk, and it's insane how big the health benefits are.
And I've heard you say, hey, if your things go 7 times a week, then fill your boots.
Yeah, no, and that's the other side, right? Yeah. I have no problem, people who are, you might have some people who are training for 100 milers and doing ultras and everything, and I'm impressed as heck. Don't get me wrong, but do you need to be that person? The answer is no.
Right. So
but if you like to.
Yeah. So if someone said, I'm pretty time constrained, I'm willing to do whatever you tell me, but I am time constrained.
Sure.
You would say 2 is probably maintenance, 3 you're going to get a little bonus, and then 4 it really stops off.
So it's sort of like 1, 2, 3, and the benefits, or go, to put it the other direction, benefits go 1, 2, 3, and everybody, I like to lift 5 days a week. I'm like, fine, have at it.
But if you stopped and went to 3 times and worked hard when you were there for the 3 times, you're probably going to still be making gains,
absolutely,
maintaining your muscle mass, adding to your strength.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, that's almost better than the 150 minutes of aerobic. You know what I mean? It's easier to attain.
Paul hates cardio.
Yeah.
You'll be the first to tell. Okay, so now someone's going to type in for sure. What about like the Lift More trial? We love our muscles and we love our bones as well. Do I have to lift heavy, or if I go close to failure with lighter weight, do they, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be on the podium, it's not the difference between 2nd and 5th.
Right.
Are they going to get the same results as far as hypertrophy? Maybe not ultimate strength, but hypertrophy and health.
So you're talking about lifting lighter weights for more reps rather than a heavy weight for fewer reps.
Yes. Or to failure even.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I think the disclaimer, I'm not a bone expert, but I think I have a pretty good idea how to interpret data. So the Lift More trial had women who had osteoporosis.
Yes.
And it compared a group that was lifting heavy weights and supervised and progressive, and that's awesome and everything, compared to a group who did home exercise, right? So it's not that they were lifting lighter weights or anything else like that. They were literally told to work out at home, unsupervised, and lo and behold, the lifting heavy weights group did better. Thumbs up. What the trial didn't compare was lower to heavier weights. And so we have a few of those trials. We also have what are known as meta-analyses, and so I'm assuming your audience is sort of familiar. These are, and I'm a card-carrying McMaster guy, so I have to say evidence-based medicine. Sure. These are the review of lots and lots of data and looking back, and it's saying what works. And the answer is that a lot of things work for bone. So even lighter weights done with more reps. Bone likes impact. It likes, sort of jumping up and down. It likes stamping. Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but it's exactly what bone really likes.
Yep.
And you can do a lot of things for bone. This is probably one area where I do think that the nutrition is sort of, lockstep with the stimulus. You have to have calcium dialed in. You have to have vitamin D dialed in, and you probably have to have enough protein. And then those three nutrients are sort of like the triumvirate that goes along with the exercise, and bone gets better.
Yeah.
But it's not that you need or have to lift heavy for bone. And I know that that's been a message for a long time, but it's not the case.
And I think that, like you said, Paul, I think this scares away older people. Sometimes it scares away women disproportionately.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I can't go to the gym and I can't push a whole lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I'm not good enough. And I think there are
Yeah.
some social media people that say, listen, if you're not lifting heavy, you're a waste of time.
Right.
And that's a horrible message.
I think what happens is even if you're trying to do good by telling people to lift heavy weights, you could inadvertently be doing harm if you're a proponent of that, because like you said, you're going to shut out a lot of people and say, I can't do it, so I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Whereas if you make it an attainable goal, people will do it and get the benefits of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the, lift heavy stuff crew that's out there, and it's sort of like you feel, like a badass. And, this, and it, like, once again, it's awesome. Like, if you like that, do it. Don't, but don't shame people who are in the, lifting the pink weight. And I know that that's been used.
What's wrong with the pink weight?
Yeah, I got pink weights.
That's my favorite weight.
And, don't shame anybody for any form of exercise. And if you're doing that weight, it's not like you're doing you're definitely not doing any harm. Are you doing as well? Maybe not, but again, once you sort of accumulate a sufficient volume of lifting and enough time, you're probably not far different. So, yeah.
Wow. I mean, I think that'll make a lot of people feel a lot more motivated to go out and do something, because you don't have to lift a small car now to get the benefit.
Yeah, the take-home message is, if you're doing something, you're already ahead. If you can do a little more, that's going to help you. Your diet side is probably secondary to actually going to the gym and doing something. But yeah, our message for everybody as they get older is, if you can do this, it's going to allow you to do your basic stuff a lot more easily as you get older. And Paul and I make our living from seeing people, unfortunately, that are frail, that fall and break their hips. And this is exactly the group of people that would have benefited the most by having more muscle mass on board, increasing their stability and increasing their ability to rebound from a very significant injury.
And if you're thinking, oh, you guys didn't touch on the mental health benefits, you're right, we didn't. That is something that I'm not talking about that in this video. Or even your weight loss benefits, we haven't touched on that either. So there's lots of benefits, but we just want to focus now on basically health span and making you able to do your activities of daily living longer into your life.
And now you know. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel, check out Dr. Phillips on his social media that we'll post in the description.
And remember, you are in charge of your own health.
Thanks, Stu. Again,
Amazing.
Yeah,
My
thank you
pleasure.
very
we'll see you
much.
next time.